Good afternoon, this is Alexandra Talleyrand with the Abolition News Network at the Old Bailey Hall of Justice in London, Monday, June 22nd, 1772, with breaking news. The High Court of England has just handed down a verdict in a slave case, which may be a landmark beginning of the end of slavery throughout the British Empire. Lord Mansfield has just ruled that an escaped slave by the name of James Somerset is free under British law. To explain this case, we have with us today the main instigator of this newsworthy case, a scholar and founder of the English Society for the Abolition of Slavery, Mr. Granville Sharp.
Good afternoon, Ms. Talleyrand. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. Now, Mr. Sharp, we are most interested in what the significance this ruling has today on the future of slavery in the British Empire. But first, tell us the beginning of this fascinating story.
Ms. Talleyrand, I've been trying to find a test case since 1765 for the court to rule in favor of an abused or fugitive slave. I managed to get a few cases before Lord Mansfield, but he was always reluctant to do anything which might upset the status quo and deny the powerful slave trade community of their property.
All right, but was there something different about this case that caused him to rule broadly against the institution of slavery?
Well, you see, this involved the colony of Massachusetts and the city of Boston, when a custom official by the name of Charles Stewart brought his personal slave, James Somerset, to England in 1769. Somerset ran away in 1771, but was recaptured and imprisoned to be sent on a ship to Jamaica for labor on a plantation.
I don't understand how this would get to court.
What happened is that James Somerset's godparents in England made an application for a writ of habeas corpus to determine before the court whether his imprisonment was lawful.
That's where I come in. I can explain that. This was the first time that habeas corpus was used on a black slave.
Who are you and what do you know about habeas corpus?
My name is Maggie Flitch. I come from Jamaica, and I am against slavery. There is too many slaves worldwide, and habeas corpus means to have the body. It's a legal term used by a judge to direct another detaining someone to bring the body into custody, that's James Somerset, at a specific time, to a specific place, for a specific purpose. This tests whether the prisoner has been accorded due process, not whether they're guilty.
So are you a lawyer or a member of the court?
No, I'm a bartender with strong opinions against slavery. This ruling could affect the colonies of the British Empire.
So then I'll remember to call you for legal opinions on slavery and habeas corpus. Now, back to you, Mr. Sharp. So how did the judge rule?
Lord Mansfield declared that the state of slavery is of such a nature that it is completely incapable of being acceptable for any reason, moral or political. It is so odious that nothing can be suffered to support it. Therefore, he said that in this case, the black man must be discharged. That's it.
So what does this really mean?
Simply that slavery has never been authorized by statute in England and Wales and is unsupported in common law. A person, regardless of being a slave, could not be removed from England against his will, and property rights in slaves were not supported by law. I'd like to read something. This quote was attributed to Judge Mansfield, but it actually comes from another source. The air of England is too pure to be breathed by a slave, and slaves cannot breathe in England if their lungs receive our air. That moment, they are free. They touch our country, and their shackles fall.
Awesome. So slavery will cease to exist?
No, Lord Mansfield's ruling doesn't affect the colonies. He cannot change the laws in the colony of Virginia, for example, or the laws in another country, such as Japan.
But you can say that there is great significance in this decision, right?
Yes. It is a milestone in abolishing slavery worldwide, and it does free approximately 15,000 slaves now living in England, which is a great, tremendous expense to the slaveholders of about 770,000 pounds British sterling.
Then we can conclude, Mr. Sharp, that this case is the beginning of the end.
That's correct. English law does not allow a person to enslave himself in a binding contract without his consent. That is slavery, and that is superior to all of the rights claimed by the other side.
Let's drink to that. Wassail.
Wassail!
Wassail.
Wassail!
You said it all, wassail. This is Alexandra Talleyrand for the Abolition News Network on June 22nd, 1772, saying we have reached a milestone in slavery history. Good afternoon.